Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi, 11.
Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. I'm so glad that you joined us this morning. We have a busy show. We've had so many guests lately. Took a little time away today to just spend the time with me and you because we've got so much to cover and to catch up on. So let's get right to it, shall we? First of all, today is October 7th, the 2-year anniversary, it's unbelievable, of the October 7th, 2023 attack in Israel. Well, yesterday, there were talks held to end the war, the talks in Egypt. There was both sides. There's the back and forth. We know that there was a peace deal, or the peace offering. Hamas did not fully accept. The White House is pushing for the talks to move quickly, and the initial phase is likely to take several days. We don't have a lot of updates on it, but we reported on it last week, the 20-point peace plan. So in this, and I mention this because this is we've got a lot of updates. We're going to be talking about all the issues of the day, but we're going to kick off the program with updates, and this ties in with those talks. Families of hostages still held in Gaza, together with relatives of those already returned, have urged the Norwegian Nobel Committee to award President Donald Trump the Nobel Peace Prize, saying with, quote, a profound sense of momentous emergency, that this determination made possible what many said was impossible, and that in the past year, no leader or organization has contributed more to peace around the world than President Trump. From the moment of his inauguration, he brought us light through our darkest times, the family said. The Hostages and Missing Families Forum sent a letter days before the committee announces this year's prize, which I had mentioned yesterday, comes on Friday. You know my prediction that it will not happen. The Nobel Peace Prize has become basically a far-left organization. I would point to the fact that Obama, even sheepishly, had to accept the award just months into his first term. But they were so happy to give it to a Democrat president. I don't see a scenario where Trump gets it. Now, call me jaded. But they continued, we write to you as families who have endured unimaginable darkness, families torn apart by captivity, living each day with the agony of empty chairs at our tables and the desperate hope that our loved ones might one day return home. They credit Trump with prioritizing hostage recovery from the start of his presidency, saying his, quote, unwavering commitment and extraordinary leadership returned 39 loved ones, and for others allowed the dignity of burial and closure, a mercy we feared we might never receive. They added that he has secured the freedom of dozens of U.S. citizens as well as hostages from other nationalities from around the world. With the plan on the table, the Hostages and Missing Families Forum struck an urgent tone, saying for the first time in months, we are hopeful that our nightmare will finally be over. We are confident that he will not rest until the last hostages are brought home. The war has ended, and peace and prosperity are restored to the people of the Middle East. Since January, he has successfully mediated resolutions to numerous armed conflicts worldwide. Where others saw intractable violence, President Trump saw opportunity for peace. Where diplomats spoke of impossibility, he delivered results. While many have spoken eloquently about peace, he has achieved it, adding that his tangible results have saved countless lives. Citing Alfred Nobel's mandate to honor those who have done the most or the best work for fraternity between nations, for the abolition or reduction of standing armies, and for holding and promotion of peace congresses, the family said Trump embodies these visions and has not merely spoken of peace, he has delivered it. So I would add, well, let me say this. The final appeal, they say, we strongly urge you to award President Trump the Nobel Peace Prize because he has vowed he will not rest and will not stop until every last hostage is back home. His unprecedented achievement in peacemaking deserves this recognition. For our families and for millions around the world affected by his efforts, this honor would affirm that determined leadership and bold action in service of peace are what truly matter in our world. Now, again, I don't, and there's others that have signed on. I know that Benjamin Netanyahu in the past has announced that he believes Trump should receive the Nobel Peace Prize. He nominated him for it. And at least 7 governments publicly backed the Trump Nobel bid over the summer. What are your thoughts? Do you think, I'm not asking, do you think he deserves it? I'm asking, do you think on Friday when they make the announcement, President Trump's name will be on the Nobel Peace Prize list? I personally do not. I've been very, very clear about that, but I'd be more than happy to eat crow. But kind of piggybacking off of that, the White House revealed yesterday that Eden Alexander, the American who was held hostage by Hamas for 584 days, will meet with President Trump at the White House to mark the 2-year anniversary of the October 7th terrorist attack on Israel. So they will meet today. Alexander, an Israeli-American citizen from New Jersey, was freed by the Palestinian terror group in May and was believed to be the last surviving U.S. hostage. The president will meet with Alexander, who's just 21 years old, in the Oval Office around 3 p.m. today, according to the White House. The meeting comes as Trump pushes for that deal, as I mentioned at the beginning of the program, to end the war in Gaza. The president unveiled that 20-point plan, as we know. Trump told the New York Post yesterday they've gone very well, meaning the talks, and how they're technical talks on implementing the peace plan. We'll see what happens by the end of the week, but they're going very well. Now think of this. 2 years ago, Hamas slaughtered more than 1,200 people in Israel and kidnapped another 251 people on October 7th, 2023. Now that is something I think many people that are now attacking Israel are now critical of Israel. They ignore this fact very often. They ignore the fact that it was Hamas that started it. It is Hamas who has continued it this whole time. Now, Alexander previously met with the President and First Lady Melania Trump at the White House in July, where the freed hostages revealed that his treatment during captivity improved after Trump was elected. I brought that story to you at the time. He said, "I came to thank the person responsible for saving my life. It was deeply moving to be in the White House. The same people where my parents had fought for my release so many times, but this time together with them." So we'll keep an eye on that today at 3. Hopefully there is some media coverage of that. All right. So that's how we kick off the program, but there's so much to discuss this morning. I mentioned this last week that it seems as if this is nearly a weekly thing, sometimes more than once a week, but it's probably at this point a weekly event. So I'm going to pose this question to you. It was linked on Drudge Report this morning, and it's from the Metro out of the United Kingdom. Do you agree with this statement? Are you ready? This is the headline. Are Trump voters losing confidence in their, quote, perfect leader? Starting biased, ending biased. Look at all these waves. Thanks, everybody. President Donald Trump's Make America Great Again crowd is becoming a bit skeptical of the nation's trajectory, according to new polling. At the start of September, 17% of Trump voters believe the country was on the wrong track. That number has jumped to 22% by the end of the month. That's according to the AP NORC. That found that the amount of conservatives believing the U.S. was heading in the wrong direction jumped from 29% to 51%. Now, this is obviously ignoring the fact that when you ask the question if you believe the country is heading in the right direction, and then you see, and that was the beginning of September, and then you see the September assassination of Charlie Kirk, asking if the country is headed in the right direction doesn't necessarily mean dollars and cents, doesn't necessarily mean maybe unemployment rates, doesn't mean anything kitchen table wise. It means, are we heading in the right direction when violence, and I unfortunately have a lot of stories later on about this, where violence is being praised, is being supported against conservatives. You saw Jay Jones's texts. You've seen, I've had countless numbers of celebrities, teachers, celebrating in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So maybe you could twist these numbers, as this article did by Sarah Hooper very easily, twist these numbers to suggest that, well, MAGA supporters no longer like Trump and the way we're headed. No, again, if someone were to ask you after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, do you believe this country is headed in the right direction? You may not be thinking Trump policies at that moment. You may be thinking, wow, this is a very scary time when political violence has been encouraged by the left through statements, through rhetoric, through the celebration, again, of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So to accept this, but again, I pose a question to you. Drudge Report, very happy to promote the story from the Metro of the United Kingdom. Are Trump voters losing confidence in their perfect leader? Now, that was not the question that was posed in the poll. It was asked if we're on the right trajectory in this country. But they twist it to be a referendum on Trump. So you see how the media operates. You see the need, the want, the almost lust to have a story suggesting that MAGA supporters no longer like the bad man, Donald J. Trump. But you could correct me if I'm wrong. Here, if you want to keep going cliche, we can keep going cliche. How about this? On The View yesterday, which I guess former Governor Andrew Cuomo was on The View. I have not seen it, but that's the way I understand from a couple of clips I saw this morning in show prep. But Joy Behar, and this is, we actually brought this up yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Must have been. Where, remember during Trump's first term, everything was the walls are closing in. The walls are closing in on Trump. Well, this go around, it's always MAGA supporters are turning on Trump. Or now we have, according to Joy Behar, well, let me start right from the beginning. Co-host Sarah Haynes said, I love how comedy was what started President Trump's run. If you guys remember at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, it was a joke that he couldn't quite take. But when we talk about how much comedy gets under the president's skin, it just makes me laugh a little, because sometimes you read the paper these days and it's like they're writing The Onion. You know, like how it's a headline and you are like, no, it's not real. It's like you laugh. And when you realize it's not funny and all the things. Brilliant way to cap that off. But it's because like Trump wants to host a UFC fight for his 80th birthday. That literally sounds like he's writing an SNL sketch. He was not happy with Saturday Night. Or I don't know if he said anything about Saturday Night, but it's probably about Jimmy Kimmel. I don't know. Again, he was willing to go to the Al Smith dinner when Kamala wasn't. He's been he did a celebrity roast. Now, granted, before he was president, he was the butt of those jokes. But again, he can't take a joke, according to Sarah Haynes. And she's referencing the comedian, I think it was Seth Meyers, who the joke was before Trump ran, that basically his presidential run was a joke. And people try, because they try so desperately to make the Seth Meyers, the Jimmy Kimmels, the Saturday Night Live relevant in the political world. So they try to suggest at that point into when he was so thin-skinned he had to run. Originally it was he wanted to sell more Trump ties and things like that. It's so pathetic. But the reason I bring this up, Joy Behar asked the question, how many years is that? 2 more? He'll be gone? Haynes responded, no, I think it's like next year. Well, Joy Behar probably seeing that be careful how you word things in today's culture, because why do you think Trump will be gone next year? So Joy Behar protecting her host saying, yeah, he'll be impeached. He's going to resign. Something. What's that something, Joy? So Trump will be gone next year. He'll be impeached or resigned or something. So there, we kick off the program with very cliche articles, not the, obviously, Gaza updates, but when it comes to MAGA supporters no longer like Trump and, oh yeah, he's going to resign or be impeached. Now, if you like the president, keep that in mind on the impeachment issue, because that will be, if in the midterms Democrats get some power back, we'll be back in 2016, well, meaning Trump's first term, where it's all impeachment. We are going to talk about, of course, Chicago, ICE, the National Guard. I do have a really interesting story that you may have missed if you just happen to watch, because of time-wise, the mainstream media, that I think is worth mentioning. A little bit later on, we are going to talk about New York. Not too much about New York. And I do want to talk a little bit about Jay Jones and those texts. They have gotten worse. You had the threats where he was kind of fantasizing about murdering a Republican politician, and now he has a statement that came out in text from a long time, I don't know how long ago, but from a while ago, that basically said if more cops were killed, less people on the street would be killed, something to that extent. I shouldn't paraphrase it, but we'll get to the specifics of it a little bit later on. But I see so many great waves coming in. Look at that. We're already kicking off with 9 waves, and I appreciate that. Got a couple comments. Stay with us. We're just getting warmed up on this Tuesday edition of Frankly Speaking.
It's Blaze Alexander Family Dealerships. We're a family, and I try to emphasize that.
At Penn State Wrestling, we preach excellence and try and strive every single day to be better than we were the last. It's very clearly resembled here at Blaze Alexander, and Blaze as a man and who he is.
You've got to repeat the process so many times to get it right. But once you get it right, you just got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it the same way every time, every day without fail. No exceptions, and it works.
Blaze Alexander, where champions strive.
In 1904, a loaf of bread was 15 cents, a gallon of gas was 22 cents, and Cutler's Carpet and Flooring opened as a little store with a big red door. For 72 years, we've been your go-to floor covering store. With that kind of longevity, you know we have great service, best selection, best prices, and best installation. Celebrate our 72nd birthday where you get the presents. We've lowered prices on carpet, LVT, hardwood, ceramic tile, and do the home improvements you've been considering. Get your home ready for the holidays with Cutler's 72nd birthday sale. Cutler's, we have a buddy in the flooring business.
In a few words, Urkel, glasses, nerd. It pays to know your nerds. If you guys didn't get nerd with me sitting up here on this show, 25 words or less.
Weeknights at 5 and 5:30 on Big Fox.
The Bix website is here now. WYDCTV.com. Local and national news that keeps you informed and involved. WYDCTV.com. Today's weather, up to date and in your town. WYDCTV.com. Sports news, local events, and health stories that affect you. WYDCTV.com. The Big Fox website. Your news here now. WYDCTV.com.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go to some viewer comments. Here we go. Mark writes in, I bet Trump won't receive the Nobel Peace Prize. He deserves it, but if the committee that votes on it is far left. Yeah, they are. They've proven it time and time again. I don't see a scenario where Trump ever receives it. I hope I'm wrong, because this next viewer has a very good point. Giving Trump the Nobel Peace Prize is the last chance for that organization to regain a shred of legitimacy. And yes, he does deserve it. There's no other world leader that has done half of what Trump has done for peace. Thank you very much. He does deserve it. If they wanted to keep any legitimacy, I don't think they really care. It's kind of like the media. They don't really care about their credibility or their legitimacy anymore. It is about pushing a narrative. It is about pushing their agenda. We've talked about it over and over again. It doesn't matter how much money they lose, how much credibility they lose. At the end of the day, it's about pushing the anti-Trump, anti-Republican message. All right, a big story that will be swept aside by most mainstream media outlets. What we learned yesterday is the FBI secretly obtained the phone records of 9 Republican members of Congress, including 8 sitting senators under the Biden administration, as part of its, quote, Arctic Frost investigation of 2020 election meddling. According to a new bombshell document that's been revealed, specific reasons for the FBI's espionage of the sitting lawmakers are not clear. The document revealed the spy effort was recently turned over to lawmakers and Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, and it was released to the public yesterday. Grassley said in a statement, based on the evidence to date, Arctic frost and related weaponization by federal law enforcement under Biden was arguably worse than Watergate. Yeah, when you see some of the things the Biden administration did, the Obama administration did, it makes Watergate seem almost like Mayberry, seems quaint. Continuing. What I've uncovered today is disturbing and outrageous political conduct by the Biden FBI. The FBI's actions were an unconstitutional breach, and Attorney General Bondi and Director Patel need to hold accountable those involved in this serious wrongdoing. Arctic frost began in April of 2022 and was taken over by former special counsel, remember this name, Jack Smith, later that year. It examined efforts by President Trump and his allies to challenge the 2020 election results, including by furnishing an alternative slate of electors. On Monday, Grassley publicly released a September 27, 2023 document titled Cast Assistance, which refers to the Bureau's cellular analysis team. That document claimed that the Bureau had conducted preliminary toll analysis on limited toll records. The lawmakers targeted, here we go, Senator Lindsey Graham, Bill Hagerty, Josh Hawley, Dan Sullivan, Tommy Tuberville, Ron Johnson, Cynthia Loomis, Marsha Blackburn, as well, not on the Senate side, but on the congressional side, Representative Mike Kelly from Pennsylvania. The lightly redacted document is labeled Arctic Frost, Election Law Matters, Sensitive Investigative Matter, CAST. Hagerty said, the only thing we all had in common was that we were all Republicans. Well, to Grassley's point, a story bigger than Watergate that will be ignored. Lawmakers currently believe that the FBI wasn't necessarily tapping their phones, but rather had collected records of who they called and at what time. We recently uncovered proof that phone records of the U.S. lawmakers were seized for political purposes, Patel said in a statement. That abuse of power ends now. Under my leadership, the FBI will deliver truth and accountability and never again be weaponized against the American people. Grassley vowed that the lawmakers will continue to investigate the matter and hinted that senators may call former bigwigs, such as Jack Smith and former FBI Director Christopher Wray, to provide testimony on what happened. If heads don't roll in this town, nothing changes. And that's one of the frustrating things about so many investigations. It doesn't seem like heads roll that often, does it? Now, earlier this year, whistleblowers alleged the FBI obtained phone data on Trump and former Vice President Mike Pence as part of this investigation. Last month, it was revealed that the FBI had 92 Republican-linked groups or people, such as Turning Point USA, under their investigation purview. So there you are. All right. A shocking story that will largely be ignored by the mainstream media. Let's talk a little bit here about what's going on with the National Guard, with ICE. They're all tied in together. A little bit later on, we are going to talk about the government shutdown. Of course, the government shutdown is still very much ongoing. Trump has signaled that he's willing to talk about health care or negotiate health care, but not until the government is reopened. Now, what we learned yesterday was important that it opened yesterday for paycheck reasons for various employees of the federal government. That did not happen. We'll be diving into that a little bit later on. Also, some New York State updates, and unfortunately, I hate to mention them so often, but this kind of violent rhetoric and this violent tendency of the left to cheer on the violent attacks. We have a couple updates on that as well. But when we come back, we are going to talk, we'll read your comments, and we're also going to talk about the National Guard. And I know we have some country fans. I'd be curious your thoughts on Zach Bryan. He's got a new song out that condemns the ICE raids. We'll tell you about that in case you have not heard it, so make sure that you stay tuned for that. But right now, we got to take a short break, play a little catch-up. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking.
Want to read about ancient wonders? Go to your local library today. But this isn't your father's library. It's the home of creativity. Release your inner audio engineer or face off a dragon in the D&D club. Make your clothing ideas come together with our sewing machine riddles. Create with the 3D printer or come to the library event nights to chat with those within your community. All with your library card. Go to getyourlibrarycard.com today.
You lather, rinse, moisturize, repeat, and repeat. But it never feels like enough. It's not your products. It's your water. Hard water leaves a mineral residue that clogs pores and dries out hair. Culligan water softeners remove damaging minerals, revitalizing brittle hair and dry skin. Upgrade your shower and skincare routine with Culligan, water you love.
This is a Collector Consumer Alert. Hi, my name is Jared Johnson with SueTheCollector.com. Did you know that repossessions are on the rise in America? If your car, truck, or motorcycle has been repossessed by an agent that broke a lock, assaulted you, or trespassed on your private property, you have rights. Call us for a free case review at 1-877-BAD-REPO. You pay nothing unless we win money for you. Call me now.
It's a season of sharing.
Having a good time has always been my number one goal. I tend to get crazy. At my age, I should not be jumping up and down like that. And if you don't know what I mean, ask your mama. The young ones, y'all like, we don't know what you're talking about. But I promise you, in 30 years, you will.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back. Oops. Broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Just lost my pen. Pen cap. All right, we got some viewer comments. Let's get right to them. Can we present President Trump with the People's Peace Prize? This prize, if it comes to fruition, would be much more meaningful since it would encompass a much larger and broader opinion base. I like that idea. It also has got a little bit of a wrestling sound to it. People's Peace Prize. I like it. Comment from a different viewer. Strongly agree with you, Frank, about Trump and the prize. Also, the Democratic policies have gotten so wrong about things. Schumer and his coterie of fools. I'll fully admit, had to look that up. Coterie, I like it. Learning new. See, this is why you tune into Frankly Speaking. Learning new words every day. Coterie, an intimate and often exclusive group of persons with a unifying common interest or person. Am I saying it right? Or is this like a common word? I just never seen it used. Let me take it back because I was so impressed by that word. Schumer and his coterie of fools shut down government because the Republicans refused to give free health care to illegals who shouldn't even be here. They support a long list that goes against everything American. Thank you very much, and thank you for that grammar lesson. All right, so let me take a step back. Officials from Illinois and Chicago sued yesterday to stop President Trump from deploying National Guard troops to Chicago as conflicts between the president and Democrat-led areas escalate. A federal judge declined to immediately grant that request, but scheduled a full hearing for Thursday. Trump wants the troops to quell protests of ICE agents, aggressive immigration enforcement in Chicago. A little bias there, but okay. The local official's lawsuit argues that he's motivated by hostility toward the city and its leaders rather than a true emergency. The president also sought to deploy the National Guard to Portland, Oregon, but a different federal judge blocked that twice over the weekend. The White House is appealing in Oregon, and the president has also said he could invoke the Insurrection Act to bypass the court. We'll talk about that in just a moment. So I know we do have some country fans out there, and I totally get it. I don't know if we have a lot of newer country fans, but if we do, I'd be curious. I know this is a very popular star. Country star Zach Bryan. He has a new song out called, or at least he previewed it, called Bad News, and it's going viral online. This doesn't seem like a winning ticket for a country star, but nonetheless, this is the direction he has chosen to go. It laments the policies and general spirit of America under President Trump. In an Instagram post captioned, "The Fading of the Red, White, and Blue," the country star shared a brief preview of his upcoming song. The song includes lyrics such as, "My friends are all degenerates, but they're all I got. The generational story of dropping the plot. I heard the cops came, cocky blankers, ain't they? And ICE is going to come bust down your door, try to build a house no one builds no more. But I got a telephone. Kids are all scared and all alone." Never mind the political message. I assume that many of you are opposed to the political message, criticizing ICE. Hardly what I would call poetry. I mean, I guess they're all I got, rhyming that with dropping the plot, which I'm not really sure what that means. Seems like kind of a word scramble. Well, the song continues as I guess, going to read all the lyrics. The bar stopped bumping. The rock stopped rolling. Okay. Well, the middle finger rising, and it won't stop showing. Got some bad news. The fading of the red, white, and blue. Again, I've just got to say, put the political message aside. Was any of that impressive? What do I know? I mean, he's been probably a multimillionaire. I've never written a song. Boy, I don't even want to reread it again. It's a little cringeworthy with the words used to rhyme and the no real message. It sounds like a college student who took, Poetry 101 trying to move minds and spirit. Now, fellow country music star John Rich, really nice guy, does a lot of charitable work, has some very patriotic songs. He said, Nashville is full of guys like this. Now, many commentators suggested that this could be Brian's what they're calling Bud Light moment, comparing it to when numerous conservative consumers fled from the brand after it associated with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. Brian, who has a history of being at odds with law enforcement, is known for his liberal commentary. Yeah, I guess he's been arrested quite a few times or whatever, and he calls officers out of control, and the cops are just a bunch of middle-aged white dudes arresting people. He's had other political commentary, whatever. I guess if you are I would agree with that this viewer. Sounds more like a rap song than country, but it doesn't even sound like a good rap song, and I'm not necessarily a rap fan, but it just doesn't, it does, you're right, but it sounds like even a poor example of that, where I felt like too much time was spent on putting those words together to make it sound like it's important. But that's not even about the message. I'm just not impressed. But your thoughts on Zach Bryan and all of that criticism of ICE, and it just fascinated me. I know he's a very popular guy, getting a lot of money for his tickets. I know he's caused some trouble in the past. I think he was trying to beat up some country star not that long ago. I don't know. Not my cup of tea, but perhaps you have changed your opinion, or your opinion hasn't changed on Mr. Bryan. Okay, so Chicago's mayor, Brandon Johnson, has now created, we've had obviously sanctuary cities, sanctuary areas. Now he's created ICE-free zones in Chicago, impeding federal law enforcement from doing their jobs. In a press conference yesterday, the left-wing Democrat mayor went after ICE as, quote, a rogue, reckless group of heavily armed, masked individuals, and claimed to have made certain parts of the city off limits to federal law enforcement officers. He claims he has ordered the establishment of ICE-free zones. Quote, in recent weeks, federal agents used several city-owned properties, including parking lots near Harrison and Kedzie, and a vacant lot at 46th and Damon, as staging sites for immigration enforcement. Such use of city property undermines community trust and runs counter to Chicago's welcoming city ordinance, which ensures that all residents, regardless of immigration status, can live, work, and seek services without fear. A lot of power that Mayor Johnson believes he has. That means that city property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids. We have a rogue, reckless group of heavily armed, masked individuals roaming throughout our city that are now not accountable to the people of Chicago. Their actions put all Chicagoans at risk. Our school parking lots are not for ICE to load their weapons. They are for Chicagoans who drop their kids off to learn. Our libraries are not for ICE to prepare for a raid. They're for Chicagoans to read and relax. Our parks are not for ICE to set up checkpoints. They're for Chicagoans to play and enjoy. We will not tolerate ICE agents violating our residents' constitutional rights, nor will we allow the federal government to discard our local authority. ICE agents are detaining elected officials, tear gassing protesters, children, and Chicago police officers, and abusing Chicago residents. We will not stand for that in our city. With this executive order, Chicago stands firm in protecting the constitutional rights of our residents and immigration communities and upholding our democracy. He also escalated his dangerous, violent rhetoric, which is becoming a common theme, and hopefully I have time to get to some of them, but they are very disheartening, the continued escalation of the violent rhetoric. He claimed that center-right Americans want a rematch of the Civil War and that Trump has declared war on the people of Chicago and people across America. Now, just to keep things in mind, just really quickly before we go to break, because I see a lot of comments coming in. There have been more than 1,500, let me try this again. There have been more than 1,500 shooting victims, fatal and non-fatal combined, in Mayor Brandon Johnson's Chicago thus far in the year 2025. So this year through, let's see. So they posted on September 22nd through the 28th. So that the number of shootings in the Windy City had topped 1,100. So overall, more than 1,500 shooting victims so far this year. Just something to keep in mind. But he's focused on ICE-free zones. We're going to tell you a little bit more about Chicago. We're going to tie it in with Portland, the National Guard. Wow. We got a lot of comments, a lot of waves coming in. Keep them coming in. We're having a blast this morning on a Tuesday at 6:36. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Time to get clean.
Yes, but that liquid detergent leaves you covered in harsh chemical residue. Not Earth Breeze. Just one sheet gives you a powerful clean.
Switch now at earthbreeze.com.
That unrelieving itch. When moderate to severe eczema is uncontrolled despite treatment, get itch relief fast and skin clearance that lasts with Nemluvio blocks the signaling from IL-31, a switch that triggers key symptoms of eczema. Do not take if allergic to Nemluvio. Serious reactions may occur, some severe. Tell your doctor about any medicines you take if you experience hives or plan to receive a live vaccine. The most common side effects are headache, joint pain, hives, and muscle aches. Ask about Nemluvio today.
Dante Brown, Big Fox News, Southern Tier.
The Fox Sports app isn't just any sports app. It's your sports app.
For the touchdown!
Yeah, yours. Your teams. Your highlights. Your scores. Your stories. Just choose your favorites to get more of what you want.
To the end zone!
And of course, stream your teams live. The best part is free with your pay TV subscription. Grab your Fox Sports app today.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street. According, let's go to some viewer comments. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning to you. Thanks to the left, the Nobel Peace Prize is as irrelevant as truth or even common sense. Thank you very much. Mark writes in, that song made no sense. I'd rather listen to Dwayne Eddy. Of course, we'd all rather listen to Dwayne Eddy. I couldn't agree more. We had really good, talented music that took a lot of talent. Those lyrics, whatever you think, I'm no author. I have not written a hit song, but boy, if that's what it takes. Just weird. Zach Bryan is just another puppet for the industry, writes another viewer. Sing what we tell you to sing, and we will make you rich. Yeah, it's got to be the industry pushing a message, because I don't think this plays well with country fans. Country fans historically, and this may change with the culture, but historically more conservative, more patriotic. Will this hurt or help his career? Maybe he's gotten, to use his word, cocky. Maybe he's cocky and he thinks he's so untouchable. I don't know what his hit record number looks like. I know he's very famous. I know he's very popular. So maybe he just feels that he's untouchable. I don't know. Time will tell. All right, this should come as no surprise. We heard from the far-left mayor in Chicago, creating ice-free zones. Well, now, tell me if this surprises you. Chicago public school teachers, with the help of their union, are actively coordinating to undermine immigration enforcement in the Windy City. In a monthly Workers Over Billionaires Zoom call, that's a monthly meeting, they talked about immigrant rights. It's an immigrant rights group. I'm going to be tongue twisted all morning, I guess. Chicago Teachers Union members discussed how they're making life harder for federal immigration agents working to remove criminal illegal aliens in the city. CTU member Kat Zamarin noted union teachers were well prepared when President Trump recently deployed troops to Chicago thanks to a campaign to educate them about immigration law. Quote, in Chicago, they're not approaching homes in the way that they have in other places because our people don't open the doors because we know what to do. And so, we literally force them to change their tactics. We literally force them to change their tactics. Now, of course, right? That means okay. This sounds like Jasmine Crockett quote. Let's take a step back and let's do it. So a member of the Chicago Teachers Union, Kat Zamarin, says, this is a teacher, in Chicago, they're not approaching homes in the ways that they have in other places because our people don't open the doors because we know what to do. And so, we literally force them to change their tactics. Now, of course, right, that means they didn't give up. They're just doing something different. And so now, right, we got our rapid response network across the city as well, just like in LA. At schools, we have protocols so that actually our staff know what to do if federal agents come to our schools. And we know they're not allowed in without a criminal judicial warrant, which they rarely have. So that quote from Kat Zamarin, better or worse than Zach Bryan's new lyrics? That's the question of the day. Now, of course, right? That means they didn't give up. They're just doing something different. So now, right, we got our rapid response network across the school as well, just like in LA. Okay. But no surprise there, Chicago Teachers Union members lay out a plan for undermining ICE and protecting illegals, undoubtedly presenting that to their students, teaching, quote unquote, their students on that message as well. Now, Trump suggested yesterday he may use a centuries-old law to get around the courts blocking deployment. He said, so far it hasn't been necessary, but we have an Insurrection Act for a reason. If I had to enact it, I'd do that. If people were being killed and courts were holding us up, or governors or mayors were holding us up, sure, I'd do that. I want to make sure that people aren't killed. We have to make sure that our cities are safe. We learned yesterday that Chicago police have been told to stand down and not protect or not help ICE, even if ICE is asking for backup, if their headquarters are being attacked, rammed with cars, these type of things. Well, a Chicago alderman and former police officer is blasting the city's mayor for politicizing the police force in response to recent reporting that the department was ordered not to assist ICE agents who are being surrounded by protesters. Anthony Napolitano, Chicago Republican alderman of the city's 41st ward and a former Chicago police officer and firefighter, said, when someone calls for help, our guys go, period. There's no way in heck that our officers would not have responded to that call for help, even from the top up. From our superintendent all the way down to our PPOs, they all would have gone unless there was a directive. I believe by the mayor's office. This is the most disgusting act that I have ever seen in my 50 years of being alive and my 25 years of working for the city. This is rock bottom right now. This is, to me, political oversight on our police, now determining how our police react to the situation. That's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. He called the stand-down order unheard of and something he never experienced during his time as a first responder. This is pure politics controlling our police. A lot of people at City Hall feel the same way, even if they won't say it out loud. The mayor's administration is trying to create chaos so that federal help looks catastrophic instead of helpful. It's politics over public safety, and it's outrageous. Officers swear an oath to the Constitution, not to the mayor. I would add, though, that's very much what we're dealing with in New York as well, and so many other states. This line, it's politics over public safety. Isn't that what bail reform is? Wasn't that what raise the age was? Chicago has been at the center of this debate. We know all about that. We don't need to get into the background, but Napolitano said they want the federal agents in there removing some of these people that don't belong there. Adding that while there is support for the hardworking individuals that are trying to make the city a better place, residents are furious about the hundreds of millions of tax dollars going to programs supporting illegal immigrants while citizens struggle. As for Trump sending federal resources into Chicago, Napolitano said, send more. I absolutely love it. It absolutely is needed more than you know. We need to clean up our streets. There are a lot of intense gang members, and now when you bring in such an influx of illegals who are gang members on the city of Chicago streets, who prior to them had over 170,000 of our own gang members here originally, and they start clashing for territory and vice profits, there's a major issue in this city. So they need to come in and stay here until they clean it up. Now, Chicago's top cop came out swinging yesterday, denying claims that a chief ordered officers to stand down. Now, what do you think? I do believe there's a stand down order. Otherwise, why would police have backed off in that scenario? This is what the police chief said. If you ram any vehicle, especially one that contains law enforcement agents, and that's any law enforcement, and you do this intentionally, this is considered deadly force. His name, Larry Snelling. Deadly force is anything that can cause great bodily harm or death. When you plow into a vehicle that contains law enforcement agents, you are using deadly force, and they can use deadly force in response to you. So there you are, putting them on notice. If you box them in with vehicles, it is responsible for them to believe that they are being ambushed and that this could end in a deadly situation. And it's reasonable for them to use force based on those conditions. Do not box in any law enforcement officers. You are breaking the law when you do that, and you are putting yourself in danger. Okay, on that note, we've got a couple other things on that. I do want to talk about the government shutdown. I do want to talk about the kind of this rise in political violence from the left. Talking about all that and much more, but we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Maxey is a veteran. He was a combat medic in the Army.
I did tours in Korea, Germany, and Bosnia before I got injured.
There's been a lot of wear and tear on his body.
My knees are bone on bone from doing all those jumps and lugging my backpack and all that gear around. I was also exposed to toxins.
When Yusuf got out of the military, he needed help getting his disability benefits.
Luckily, DAV came to the rescue. They fought for me the same way that I fought for my country.
Every year, DAV provides life-changing support to more than 1 million veterans like Yusuf, helping them get the benefits they've earned so they can achieve victories, great and small.
Now Yusuf is paying it forward. DAV has been instrumental in helping him start 2 healthcare technology companies that are working to help veterans everywhere.
My victory is never giving up and finding more ways to serve.
He's pretty amazing.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Mark, I agree with you. Spooky clouds on the roof cam. Yes, very ominous looking, isn't it? But a beautiful view nonetheless of historic Market Street in the heart of the Gaffer District. And we are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio in that Gaffer District. Let's go to some viewer comments. I never heard of the country guy, so he scores 0 with me, and that's all that matters. Yes. What happened? Where is it here? What happened to protect and serve? Great question. And that's, of course, in reference to the Chicago police. Yes, Fox News does have the audio of the stand-down order. Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. We read the stand-down order. So this idea of ignoring it, it's exactly what happened. They were told to, again, protect and serve, but not federal law enforcement agents. Comment from a different viewer. If I had a truck and a dog, me and my smoke show wife and Daisy Duke shorts would not be listening to Zach Bryan. Perfect. That encompasses, 95% of country songs anymore? One thing I find that they do, and I haven't worked in radio in a while, so I will say this was about 4 or 5 years ago. The songs would have Daisy Dukes mentioned. It would have a truck and dog, but they'd always throw in some classic country legend that they were supposedly listening to kind of give themselves and the song credibility. You know, they'll talk about Merle or talk about Hank or sometimes the Possum, George Jones, something like that, and they'll throw that in to just get a little more credibility. So yes, that would be my only. I think your statement's perfect. That would be the only thing I would throw in. Thank you for that. That made me laugh. All right, Stephen Miller. When asked about just a quick thing about Stephen Miller before we go to break, he laughed off CNN's dumb question about alleged racial profiling and ICE raids. The host, Boris Sanchez, said, is this the case that as JDB Pritzker frames it, you are profiling brown people, that this immigration crackdown is designed to go after people of color? Miller then laughed, oh, what a dumb question. The illegal aliens who are here are taking jobs away from blacks. They're taking jobs away from whites. They're taking jobs away from Latinos. They're taking their health benefits away. They're taking their school slots away. And of course, in many cases, they're committing heinous crimes. We cannot have a system of law in this country that privileges illegal aliens over American citizens. And that's what they're doing. You know it, and I know it. So that's not exactly so Sanchez says, so that's not exactly a no, Stephen. Can you just unequivocally state that immigration policies? Miller interrupted, saying, I said it was a dumb question. Okay, no. And it was a dumb question. Did you see AOC? AOC got in a little bit of hot water. We'll talk about that in a second because I realize I'm running late. Do we have time? Yeah, no, we'll wrap up this hour with a comment from AOC about Stephen Miller. That got a little bit of hot water because she wasn't perhaps woken up. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Then we're going to move on from that topic. Stay with us.
Want to read about ancient wonders? Go to your local library today. But this isn't your father's library. It's the home of creativity. Release your inner audio engineer or face off a dragon in the D&D club. Make your clothing ideas come together with our sewing machine riddles. Create with the 3D printer or come to the library event nights to chat with those within your community. All with your library card. Go to getyourlibrarycard.com today.
This is a collector consumer alert. Hi, my name is Jared Johnson with SueTheCollector.com. Did you know that repossessions are on the rise in America? If your car, truck, or motorcycle has been repossessed by an agent that broke a lock, assaulted you, or trespassed on your private property, you have rights. Call us for a free case review at 1-877-BAD-REPO. You pay nothing unless we win money for you. Call me now.
We've had many wonderful memories as a family. Dropping Shelly off at school, I prayed he wouldn't get stuffed in a gym bag. Missy might have been the one in Little League.
I'm asking the Lord to watch over my little girl. Well, while you're at it, ask him for a win. I got money on this.
But Georgie is the one who threw us the real curveball.
I got a girl pregnant.
Oh, no. Are you kidding me? We may not be perfect, but to me, we have the perfect family.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. So AOC went after Stephen Miller, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, admitting that she never met Stephen Miller, but saying, point is they are scraping, and grasping at straws because they have nothing else. Laugh at them. Stephen Miller is a clown. I've never seen that guy in real life, but he looks like he's like 4'10", and he looks like he is angry about the fact that he's 4'10", And he looks like he is so mad that he is 4'10" that he has taken that anger out on any other population possible. Like, laugh at them. Laugh at them. Well, she continued. Yes, they are dangerous. Yeah, this meaning MAGA. Yes, we're here to be strong for one another. We need to expose the lies. We need never let off the gas when it comes to protecting one another. Exposing the lies, documenting things. We're seeing this too, right? And so I think it's very important to be able to hold multiple things at once. And we've seen this work in other cultures. We've seen work in other countries. Yes, the resistance to authoritarianism is very real. The risk of abuse of power are very real. But one of the most powerful cultural things that you can do to a political movement that is predicated on the puffery of insecure masculinity, that's what this is about. So MAGA is about insecure masculinity. People talk about toxic masculinity. Let's put that to the side for just 1 second. This is about insecure masculinity. And one of the best ways that you can dismantle a movement of insecure men is by making fun of them. By having secure men who aren't afraid of successful people around them, who are good dads, who have strong values, also participating in that as well. So that's what I have for that. A lot of confusion there. I've been reading a lot of strange quotes this morning. Well, some people were not too happy because remember that she's still very much in that woke culture. How dare she mock or ridicule someone that is not of her preferred height? I guess the statement are, quote, short kings are great. I mean, I guess that means that shorter guys are okay. And also someone said short kings are great. Absolutely, AOC said. I'm not here. I want to absolutely make sure that I talk about that. I'm not here to make fun of anyone's anything. But the way people overcompensate over their own stories is what I'm talking about here. So thank you for the clarification. I appreciate that. Shout out to our short kings. Someone said not short kings, short troll. That's correct. There's a difference. So after mocking him for being 4'10", I didn't know how tall Stephen Miller is, 3 times, then she realized, uh-oh, I could have my own group. Actually, it's kind of ironic. I don't want to talk about this because we've talked way too much pop culture this morning, but there's an article at the New York Post, and I know so many outlets are talking about Taylor Swift and a new album. But it's funny because when you start to see the left turn on the left, of course, she's supported Kamala Harris and before that, Biden. Now they're criticizing some of her lyrics in her new album as being almost MAGA-like, being supporting the patriarchy. It's really fascinating. She charges a lot of money because she comes out with like 4 or 5 different albums, and each one's essentially the same, but there'll be one different song or one different poem in it or a different picture on the cover. So she's making all this extra money and kind of bleeding her fans dry. So she's getting criticism over that. Just interesting when you have the left turn on the left. That was kind of a long way around that. But when we come back, we're going to talk about the shutdown and begin our number 2. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
I'm Marianne Crawford. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
This isn't your library. Create with the 3D printer. Release your inner audio engineer or sewing machine riddles, all with your library card. Go to getyourlibrarycard.com today.
And remember, you can call me anytime.
Anytime?
Oh, this is my client.
Hello! Injury attorney William Mattar always puts his clients first.
I gotta take this.
There you go.
Sorry, I gotta take this.
He's recovered millions for injured accident victims.
Easy out, easy out. Ooh, it's mine. This is William.
Hurt in a car? Call William Mattar.
Football Show breaks down all things NFL. GMFB Overtime.
Check out top highlights, player interviews, special guests, and everything in between. 5 days a week.
GMFB Overtime. It's football for everyone.
And welcome to hour number 2 here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live and proudly from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Let's kick off hour number 2 with viewer comments. Comment from a viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. Finally met someone to the shutdown affected. They couldn't go to Steamtown in Scranton because it was a national park, so the end of the world is coming. Yes. That is, I think that was the first sign of the apocalypse, right? Steamtown being closed. I found that to be, it's kind of an old school way. I talked about it with Governor Hochul trying to keep the Statue of Liberty closed. It was trying to hurt you the most to score political points. But come on, you paid for the national parks. You paid for the upkeeps of the national park. And so for them to actually have to spend more time putting up a caution tape or lock a gate to thousands of acres where you can just walk around the gate is just political theater. And it's very frustrating. But yeah, so that is very much the sign of end times. The end is nigh. Ken writes in, given the left's rhetoric on demonizing and inciting violence against the right, do you think they care a whit about putting their minions in grave danger after they work to propagandize them into believing that they are defending the nation against the rights and desires to eliminate democracy? It's interesting you say that, Ken. Victor Davis Hanson has kind of a similar take on it. I can't read the whole article, but the headline is when liberals play Confederates. Portland's revolt against America. And it talks, well, basically it boils down to this. For a party that has been quick to shout insurrection, it is ironic that Democrats and their useful, though violent Antifa insurrectionists are in rebellion against the federal government and its agents. It's hard to know which is worse, the Antifa thug who nightly tries to injure a federal officer, or the sanctimonious neo-Confederate official who empowers him to keep trying. So very much in line with what you're saying, Ken, and I do appreciate that. Quickly, well, do you want to go to that topic instead of the shutdown? There's not a lot on the shutdown. The government's still shut down. But I did think, yeah, we'll put shutdown to a little bit later on, but I thought that House Republican Whip Tom Emmer kind of put succinctly what I've been trying to say. He put it a little bit better. He said, Schumer is like an aging athlete. He is desperately afraid of losing his leadership position because he feels that he looked weak 6 months ago. That's a great way of putting it. All right. Yeah, we'll talk about the shutdown next, unless you want to jump around, because we'll tie that in with what Ken was saying and this violence. And, you know, you've got Jay Jones and those comments that have been made. We do have some New York State issues we got to get to as well. But did you see that Biden-appointed judge gave the would-be Kavanaugh assassin just an 8-year sentence? Senator Tom Cotton suggested that a Biden-appointed judge should be investigated or impeached after Nicholas Roski, who attempted to assassinate Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh in 2022, received just an 8-year prison sentence. He was on Fox News. He criticized Judge Deborah Boardman for having sentenced Roski, who now identifies as a transgender female and uses the name Sophie, to 97 months in prison. Cotton noted that Roski should be in prison for life or at least a lot longer than 8 years. Quote, this man, and he is a man, traveled across the country with the express purpose of kidnapping and killing a center-right Supreme Court justice. He was outside his home. He had the tools to break and enter, the tools to bind him up and to kidnap him and ultimately kill him. He should be in prison for life or at least a lot longer than 8 years. This radical left-wing Biden judge, though, gave him only 8 years, and she expressly said it was because he wouldn't be housed in a female prison because he now thinks he's a woman. He continued to admit that usually any effort to impeach a federal judge is ill-advised and goes nowhere, but he thinks the House should begin an investigation as to whether or not this is grounds for impeachment. When the judge expressly refuses to give a proper sentence because she disagrees with the Trump administration's policy on not putting men in women's prisons, I think the House should begin an investigation on whether this is grounds for impeachment. Now, Politico reported that Judge Boardman questioned whether Roski would receive adequate mental health treatment in a federal prison and that when delivering the sentence, Boardman took into account that Roski, a biological male, identifies as a transgender female. As a matter of fact, Kristen Fleming at the New York Post said, if you're looking for leniency on your assassination charge, just say that you're trans and watch the judge fawn. The judge will even recognize your gender journey in the sentence like they're giving out a most improved award at the end of soccer season. And much of the media will seamlessly move from he to she as soon as said criminal gives them the thumbs up. How are we still doing this in 2025? She asks. Remember, Roski was busted outside of Kavanaugh's home. We mentioned all of that. Though he didn't follow through with the assassination and called 911 on himself, it was an eerie harbinger of leftist political violence to come. And she goes on to read, and it's about a 6-7 page article. You can find it for yourself at the New York Post. But she says this will be a green light for more bad people with bad intentions to take advantage of the good lefties who turn to mush and an idea of a man finding his inner woman while committing violent acts. And much of the media will be the useful idiot there to rubber stamp such dangerous decisions. And the New York Post writes, just weeks after a crazed killer fatally shot conservative Charlie Kirk, a liberal judge let off Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh's would-be assassin with a sentence of a mere 8 years instead of the 30 years prosecutors had asked for. Is there any wonder assassination culture is on the rise? Good for Attorney General Pam Bondi for vowing to have the Justice Department appeal this outrageous, misguided leniency. Bondi saying the attempted assassination of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh was a disgusting attack against our entire judicial system by a profoundly disturbed individual. The Justice Department will be appealing the woefully insufficient sentence. In issuing the sentence, Judge Deborah Boardman, who was appointed by, you guessed it, Joe Biden, as I said, apparently took pity on Nicholas Roski, who came from California with a pistol, all that. Okay. True, Roski, who came out as a trans woman after being nabbed and now goes by the name Sophia, appears to have been suffering mental health issues. But Kirk's killer and the two men who tried to assassinate President Trump also surely had psychological problems too. That's not unusual. Meanwhile, Democrats can't seem to halt their inflammatory rhetoric about those on the right, and disturbed individuals interpret that as a message that conservatives need to be targeted. Showing these people leniency only encourages more violence. The sentence imposed in this case must send the powerful message that the ends never justify the means and the consequences are not worth engaging in these acts. Prosecutor stressed, absolutely right. It's up to judges to make sure those consequences are serious enough. But boy, judges have become, well, they're either activists, they're not enforcing laws, it's very frustrating to watch. But we talk about this rhetoric. Even, this is shocking, even on MSNBC, they called on Jay Jones, the Democrat Virginia Attorney General candidate, to drop out of the race. Joe Scarborough saying he should probably be forced to withdraw from the race. Messages obtained and published by the National Review show Jones writing to Virginia House delegate Kerry Coyner in 2022, fantasizing about shooting then House Speaker Todd Gilbert. After allegedly writing that Gilbert should get 2 bullets to the head over genocidal dictators Adolf Hitler and Pol Pot, Jones added that the speaker's evil little fascist children should die as well, because only when people feel real pain do they move on policy. Now Jones has apologized in a statement and claims he has taken full responsibility for the text. Mika Brzezinski previewed the segment. Yeah, he should probably be forced to withdraw from the race, Scarborough said. As the Republican Attorney General Association wrote, you know it's serious when you've lost MSNBC. Then we learn of new texts that have been unveiled yesterday, where Jay Jones chillingly suggested that if more cops got killed after being stripped of legal protection, they would shoot fewer people, according to claims from an ex-colleague in the state legislature. This coming off the heels of what he said about those Republican lawmakers. Coroner has come forward with new allegations against Jones, telling the Virginia Scope Monday that during a 2020 conversation about qualified immunity, she told Jones that without the legal protection, police officers would get killed. When Jones responded, well, maybe if a few of them died, then they would move on, not shooting people, not killing people. Wow. Jones previously supported bills to remove qualified immunity while he was still a member of the House of Delegates. Coroner doubled down in a statement to the Post and asserted that Jones is unfit for office. My position is very clear. It's never acceptable to think that killing people is a justifiable method to achieve policy changes. Period. Anyone that advocates for killing someone for disagreeing with them is not qualified to serve. Now, the police union is calling on Jay Jones to quit after that alleged conversation. The Fraternal Order of Police of Virginia sent a letter to Jones on Monday calling for him to bow out of the Attorney General's race immediately. The Virginia Fraternal Order of Police is aware of the recent message scandal involving you, the Democrat candidate for Attorney General. While this incident may have occurred in 2022, this conduct has no place in our society or democracy, especially from an elected official who is running to be a top prosecutor in Virginia. The men and women of the Virginia Fraternal Order unequivocally condemn these violent text messages sent by you about a political opponent and his family. They said it supports everyone's right to respectful and peaceful discussion with politicians, though calling for any type of violence is unacceptable. We have seen this type of rhetoric is caused in other parts of the country. The men and women of law enforcement work tirelessly to combat the violence you wished on a fellow Virginian and his family. Therefore, the member of the Virginia Fraternal Order of Police believe that you, Jay Jones, are unfit for the office of Attorney General of Virginia. It is time you hold yourself accountable for these actions and withdraw from the Attorney General race immediately. All right. But, yeah, we got a couple other things on this, but I got to take a short break. Let's take a short break. We've got a couple guests coming up later in the week. Nothing's set in stone yet, so I don't want to give too many away. Maybe a couple announcements we should get to later on as well. I know we've had a lot of people asking me, again, about the Alzheimer's Walk coming up because we had that great interview last week. And yes, we have formed a team here at Big Fox. It's two of us, but it's a team. It's me and Elisa, and we're going to be walking this Saturday. And I understand a lot of people after our interview signed up to participate in the walk. Wonderful for you. If you aren't going to participate or you'd just like to be involved and you would like to donate to our team, that is the website to go to. Any little bit helps to try to reach our goals and help out an amazing organization, which is the Alzheimer's Association and their Walk to End Alzheimer's. So I'm looking forward to that on Saturday. But I'd love to see you there. Or again, if you'd like, make a small donation. I don't know if they let you comment, but if they do, or even if they don't, after your donation, send in a comment here at the number and we'll read it. Because we do appreciate all that you, the viewers of Frankly Speaking, do for our community. It's amazing. We put our money where our mouth is here on Frankly Speaking when we talk about getting involved in the community and helping out the community. So thank you to everybody who already donated, and thank you to everybody that will be donating. I do appreciate it. All right, let's take that short break. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Trick or treat. Fall is in the air, and there's no better place to celebrate than Bradley Farms. Bring the whole family for games. Get lost in our giant cornfield maze. Hop on a scenic hayride. Photo ops and fall memories you'll never forget. Located at 1543 Maple Avenue in Elmira, New York. And pick the perfect pumpkin from our patch. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. until 10 p.m. Come on out to Bradley Farms, where fall fun takes root.
Yeah, hello. I'm really not sure if this is what you all do, but I really don't have anywhere else to turn.
Hi. I don't even know why I'm calling right now. I'm sorry. My thoughts are going a mile a minute.
My kids are out of state. My buddies from the Army are all gone now. I'm really alone.
I left the service last year. My mom just passed away a few months ago. I miss so much time with her. I keep getting calls about the bills, and I'm trying to get a job, but I feel so stuck.
Okay, ma'am. I'm glad you called.
Okay, sir. Let's stay on the line and walk through some things.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Livingston. Big
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. We have a lot of comments coming in. I will read them in the next segment only because I went to get some water and I didn't have time to put them all together. I apologize, but they all look great, and we'll get to them in our next segment. That's a way to keep you hooked. The New York Post editorial board has an interesting, I think, not spin on this, and an important take on this with Jay Jones, because it's showing the larger picture, which is the Democrats' position on political violence. Leftist violence, fueled by the ugly words of leftist politicians, is now clearly out of control and threatening to rip the nation apart. It's been growing rampant across the country, from the assassination of Charlie Kirk to the deadly anti-ICE shooting at a Dallas facility and the chaos in cities like Portland, Chicago, Los Angeles, and more. I'm not going to go and tell you everything that's happening in Chicago. You know this. ICE agents, remember, are enforcing federal law as dictated by a federal government that was democratically elected. Yet last week, Governor J.B. Pritzker attacked ICE for harassing people for not being white. A crazy, inflammatory lie. But J.B. Pritzker, and this is the point, really, in one way, that the Post is making, he only cares about staying relevant and potentially getting elected to President of the United States. So, never mind what unhinged person reads in between his lines and what they do. That doesn't matter, because he's worried about number one. Protesters believe their violent attacks are justified because Democrats keep telling them they're fighting racist, fascist Nazis. Democrats don't care that they're encouraging lawbreaking, dividing the country, or even that more people may die, as they paint opponents as evil. Just look at the case of the sicko Democrat Virginia Attorney General candidate, Jay Jones, who was exposed last week for sending texts fantasizing about then House Speaker Todd Gilbert being graphically murdered, and his family as well. Once upon a time, this type of sociopathic musing would mean the end of Jones' political career, but in today's Democrat Party, it's barely warranting a wrist slap. Many people have not even backed out of their endorsements. Democrat gubernatorial candidate Abigail Spanberger refused to call on Jones to exit the race. The Virginia Beach Democratic Committee said it stood 10 toes down for Jones, and was ready to organize, mobilize, and deliver him voters despite his past mistakes. In the land of the far left, you can hope for the deaths of children, it seems, as long as those children are related to a Republican. Sane Democrats need to speak up now and rid their party of the dangerous, radicalizing rhetoric that's spurring a not insignificant number of Americans to violence before it dooms the entire nation. David Carton writes that, yes, Virginia, Jay Jones is evil. Yet the Democrats want this creature to be the Commonwealth's chief law enforcement officer. Again, this is David Cameron. That was a headline. This could be found at The Right Prescription. This was linked on the New York Post today. This is a dilemma that may very well destroy the Democrat Party in the end. Just 2 weeks ago, we saw clear evidence that Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez holds greater sway over the Democratic caucus in the House of Representatives than it does its duly elected leader. In Virginia, the situation is much the same. This puts Spanberger directly between two other elected officials. She doesn't have the political chops to avoid being eaten alive by the left or drawn down into the depths of indecision. Jones may well destroy her dwindling chances either way. But Glenn Reynolds says that the left's deep-rooted violence is what insurrection really looks like. We live in ugly times made uglier and even more violent by the institutional left. White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller didn't mince words this weekend when he said there's a large and growing movement of left-wing terrorism in this country. It is shielded by far-left Democrat judges, prosecutors, and attorney generals. The only remedy is to use legitimate state power to dismantle terror networks. Progressives like Stephen King shrieked extremism in response. But example after example points back or makes Miller's point. In Chicago on Saturday, a mob of protesters surrounded ICE agents on a routine patrol, ramming their vehicle and boxing it in with 10 cars to frustrate immigration enforcement efforts. Chicago officials allegedly ordered the city's police to stand down, and not assist the federal agents, even though one of the protesters was armed and shots were exchanged. Armed resistance to U.S. government officials executing the law, with police refusing to back them up, that was no accident. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker didn't condemn the violent resistance, but he did condemn the feds. On Friday, we mentioned Nicholas Sofirowski, who only got 8 years for the attempted assassination of Brett Kavanaugh. We got Jay Jones, who we've been mentioning all morning. We've got Governor Glenn Youngkin calling the text violent, disgusting rhetoric, but still now moving along here. Why should they oust him? This sort of violent rhetoric has become the leftist norm, with Democrats habitually calling their opponents Nazis, Ku Klux Klansmen, and the like. And it's not just the kooks, but the party's top leaders. Senator Charles Schumer openly threatened the Supreme Court, saying Kavanaugh would pay the price for overturning Roe v. Wade shortly before Rose's assassination attempt. Democrat after Democrat openly called Trump a fascist, a dictator, and a moral threat to our democracy, and 2 different people came close to killing him before the 2024 election. Leftists called Charlie Kirk, a man who traveled to college campuses to respectfully debate students, a neo-Hitler and white supremacist, supporting the charges with fake quotes before a progressive shot Kirk dead in public. Democrats are forever telling conservatives their rhetoric could lead to violence. Apparently, that meant violence from Democrats. But though the trigger men and women are usually disturbed individuals caught up in the general climate of hysteria that Democrats have deliberately created, there's more to this than irresponsible rhetoric captivating the unhinged. As Miller noted, a whole infrastructure of funding, messaging, and legal defense is supporting this sort of thing. When Trump was shot in Butler, Pennsylvania, CNN, MSNBC, and other left media started minimizing the event at once. The Washington Post headline was, "Trump leaves rally after loud noises erupt." Loud noises, of course, being gunshots, one of which struck Trump. Another killed Corey Capitatore, a volunteer firefighter attending the rally. I forgot about that headline with the Washington Post. Imagine that. Trump leaves rally after loud noises erupt. Some in the media circulated conspiracy theories suggesting that Trump was never shot at all. After Kirk's assassination, the same outlet swung into action to suggest he was a divisive figure whose far-right views essentially meant he was asking for it. As we see in the Rosk case in Chicago and elsewhere around the country, Democratic governors, judges, prosecutors, and others are doing all they can to interfere with federal law enforcement efforts. They're denying the sort of routine protection the local police and the justice system are supposed to provide, while nonprofits wage lawfare via litigation and provide defense for those who are arrested. Put it together and you have an army of crazies and far-left activists, a propaganda wing, and a legal and financial support system, all acting in resistance against the duly elected government of the United States. Dare we call it an insurrection? If not, what is it? It's certainly not politics as usual. That's Glenn Harlan Reynolds, a professor of law at the University of Tennessee. There you go. All right, we better take a short break. But Martin Gurry does say, and then we're going to get to the government shutdown. We got some New York State issues, and wow, we got a lot of comments to read. Keep them coming in. You guys are doing great this morning. We're having a blast. Martin Gurry writes, "We must resist the moral rot that has the left cheering for the death of its opponent. Don't fall into the same trap that they are going down. If we gaze down at the bloody ground, there is much to fear and much to regret, and it's hard to tear our eyes away from the carnage and moral madness around it." And he talks about Irina Zarutska, talking about the public safety, talking about assassination of Charlie Kirk. It's a very long piece. But he wraps up by saying, exceptional individuals are already showing the way out of the darkness. Erica Kirk, the widow of the murdered man, has publicly forgiven her husband's assassin. This act of extraordinary human kindness provides a model for how to defeat the forces of rage and resentment. It's not enough to be stronger, tougher, or more numerous than the violent minority. We must be better as well. I know that was a powerful message. All right, we'll read your comments when we come back. Talk a little bit about the government shutdown. Actually, before the government shutdown, I do have a couple New York State issues I want to get to because I just don't want to run out of time and have to read those so quickly. like we've been doing in the past few days. Yeah, there we go. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Come explore the magic of Knapp Winery. It's the perfect fusion of wine, food, and panoramic views. This charming destination will delight every palate with a curated wine flight, wine by the glass, or your favorite bottle to share. Some special finds to try are Knapp's Iced Wine, Dry Rosé, and Saperavi. While soaking in the view, you may want to enjoy a brunch, lunch, or dinner at the on-site restaurant. Book your experience at Knapp Winery today. When you're on, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
This is a Collector Consumer Alert. Hi, my name is Jared Johnson with SueTheCollector.com. Did you know that repossessions are on the rise in America? If your car, truck, or motorcycle has been repossessed by an agent that broke a lock, assaulted you, or trespassed on your private property, you have rights. Call us for a free case review at 1-877-BAD-REPO. You pay nothing unless we win money for you. Call me now.
When you're on, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Check out our newsreels and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Okay, so I have to admit, we're back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. We're receiving so many great comments. I wasn't able to get to all of them. So just keep in mind, if I haven't read yours, I will try to read them in the next segment. But we're going to do our best because there's a lot of comments. Mark writes in, the government shutdown isn't affecting me, but it gives Trump a chance to drain the swamp more. Thank you, Mark. Rick writes in, good morning, Frank. Good morning. I read this yesterday. In the final words of Jane Goodall, absolutely there are people I don't like. I'd like to put them on one of Musk's spaceships and send them all off to the planet he's sure he is going to discover. Goodall, referring to Elon Musk, he'd be the host of the party, she says, noting that she would add Trump, Putin, Z, and Netanyahu. Put them all in that spaceship, she says, and send them off. Well said, Mr. Goodall. That's well said, huh? Okay. So sending Musk and who I guess she deems them on the same page, Trump, Putin, Xi Jinping, and Netanyahu. Okay. Rick continues, in very bad news, Trump mentioned that he was going to look at pardoning Epstein's squeeze Maxwell. Hate to break the news to you, Don. Either Maxwell will talk or those women that testified on the Hill a couple of weeks ago will. One more item, there will be no peace in Gaza. Hamas only cares about Hamas. Netanyahu only cares about taking Gaza for Israel. Trump only cares about a Nobel Peace Prize. Let me ask, if Netanyahu only wanted to take Gaza for Israel, he could take Gaza for Israel, right? I mean, he could just do that using force. He doesn't do that because he tries to, and it doesn't always work, but tries to save as many lives as possible. But Hamas only cares about pushing their hate, growing that hate. So whatever. Not a good start to the week other than the spaceship idea. All right, Rick. That is an idea, I guess. Brilliant. If Jay Jones actually wins, Virginia is truly irredeemable, said somebody else. Another viewer says AOC is now disenfranchised short people. That's true. If Trump made a comment like that, there would be a new phobia word added to the dictionary. There absolutely would be. Yeah, I think she realized she had made kind of a tactical error there pretty quickly when she started to see the pushback. You have to walk on eggshells. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about the pop culture stuff anymore, but seeing some of these articles about Taylor Swift and seeing the people that are turning on her, I'm not saying her career's over. I'm not saying any of that, but it's not an enviable place. Well, I mean, she's a multi-billionaire, but I'm saying where if you're on the left, you have to be 100% lockstep in line with the left's cause to no, I tried too hard there. The cause of the day, the celebrity cause of the day, where you have to instantly, if you are 99.9%, you better instantly correct and become that 100%. So that's an interesting, she put herself in an interesting position. Okay. Ken writes in, do you think Jack Smith will face any charges for illegally accessing the personal communication of Republican lawmakers? I don't, but if the situation was reversed, the responsible party would already be in prison. I agree with you, Ken. I don't think anything will happen from it. I just don't. I don't, maybe there's an investigation. I think that's really all that will come from it. There's too many, James Comey, all these people that should have charges years ago that haven't happened. So no, I'm with you, a little bit jaded, Ken. Comment from a different viewer. Congressman Daniel Golden claimed that the South Carolina judge fire was arson caused by Stephen Miller and MAGA. Sure. That sounds right. I know I saw that on some news yesterday that they were trying to suggest that it may have some MAGA connection. Isn't it interesting the media is so quick to make that assumption, make that jump? But when the shoe's on the other foot, how many times it's become cliche of what, like we have with the Washington Post, loud noises, so Trump leaves the rally, or you'll have them try to find some type of voter registration. You have Jimmy Kimmel try to lie and suggest that Charlie Kirk's assassin was a MAGA. The way that they, obviously, and I'm not saying anything crazy, protecting their own while doing anything they can to twist and try to find a connection to MAGA for any kind of violence, it is cliche, but I understand it's nonetheless very, very frustrating. All right, let's talk about some New York State issues. I know we've got a lot of other comments coming in. Do I have time? All right, did you see this? I'm just going to mention this real quick. And we'll have other New York State issues, but I got to take a break because I'm running late because we have so many amazing comments. I do appreciate it. Did you see that some absentee voters in upstate New York received their ballots, and those ballots were already filled out? Now, before you get thinking that it's helping one party or the other, because that's the way they get you on the clickbait. But what had happened, every single bubble was already filled out. So the Democrats and Republicans were being voted for. So it would have invalidated their ballot if they sent it in. Jackie Ortiz, the Democrat commissioner with the Monroe County Board of Elections, confirmed that it was a printing error. Here's the problem with this. When you have such a small town like Rush, New York, if those people who are getting the new ballots decide, well, I tried once, enough is enough. I don't know. How do you, with all the heat on elections, and especially absentee votes and these type of things, I'm always shocked that these mistakes happen more frequently as frequently as they do. It seems like before you send them in the mail, you double check. I don't know. That was just a quick one to get us time before we went to our break. Oh, also, your thoughts on this. I think this is a little overhyped because it's coming out of the Telegraph out of the United Kingdom. But they make the claim that Ted Cruz is laying the groundwork for a presidential run. Now, we know that Ted Cruz ran before back in 2016 because it was the first time in a long, long time in New York where we had a Republican primary for president that really mattered. I mean, most of the time the candidate's already picked almost essentially by that point. And this scenario is really interesting. Ted Cruz and Trump were still going at it when it hit New York. So he's ran in the past, and he was putting up good numbers against Trump. I mean, he has nothing to be ashamed of. But now they're suggesting because he was a little critical of the FCC chairman around the time of Jimmy Kimmel and all of that maybe he's trying to find a path. But it's not the first time this year he has distanced himself from the president. Mr. Cruz has frequently warned that Trump's tariffs could prove to be one of the biggest tax hikes in a long, long time. I don't know. Here's my thoughts. I like Ted Cruz. I'm not going to deny that. I think he does a good job in the Senate. I don't think he stands a chance against, if it's a three-person race in a primary where you have J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, and Ted Cruz, I think it goes in that order. J.D. Vance wins, Rubio second, Cruz third. You may change those top two, but I don't think you throw Cruz in the first. And this isn't to criticize him. I'm just a little mental mind game. Vin Weber, a Republican strategist and former member of Congress, said it was never sensible to offer outright opposition to Mr. Trump. The way I see it is that Senator Cruz has taken on a couple of positions which, in the very short term, are at odds with the president, but in all likelihood will age very well within the Republican Party. Mr. Cruz was a runner-up to Trump in the 2016 primary. If you recall the time, Trump calling him Lion Ted. I don't know. Your thoughts on that? That just kind of piqued my interest this morning. I think it's way too early. I don't see Ted Cruz is a brilliant man. I don't see a scenario where he takes on J.D. Vance and or Rubio. But your thoughts. All right. Let's take a short break. We got a lot of comments coming in. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox will be right back.
You don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
We are the keepers of the wild, America's original and most invested conservationists. For more than 80 years, we've been committed to conserving wildlife and the natural landscapes that define our nation. From rugged alpine ridgelines to peaceful tall grass prairies, we've supported the conservation of more than 36 million acres of American wildlands. Our funding has led to cleaner water, fresher air, and improved wildlife habitat. From abundant fish and waterfowl populations to robust deer and elk herds, nothing is more important than maintaining wild spaces for adventurers to explore and wildlife to thrive. We are America's hunters and target shooters, stewards of the American outdoors.
In a few words. Urkel, glasses. Nerd. It pays to know your nerds. If you guys didn't get nerd with me sitting up here on this show, 25 words or less.
Weeknights at 5 and 5.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Let's go to some viewer comments, shall we? Police clean up people who shoot and kill others. To essentially accuse them of being killers is a profoundly telling statement. The stinks of a schizophrenic mind. Thank you very much. Comment from a different viewer. Local news. Correction officers still working 12 days. Can take no vacation. Still getting stuck. Many fights, inmate on inmate. Governor does not care. Please talk about it every week. Thank you very much. The governor does not care. We've talked about, obviously, pretty consistently corrections officers, but it has been a little while. If we have anybody, even if it's anonymous, wants to write in that works in corrections, let us know how it is going on the ground. That does not surprise me what this viewer says at all. Out of sight, out of mind. Going back to their old way of doing things. It's not like they've had a real serious discussion on changes to the HALT Act and these type of things. We see Governor Hochul very quick to attack a union when it was a corrections officers union. All right, comment from a different viewer. Regarding Butler, there was a photo that clearly showed the bullet near Trump's head. So I have to feel that those who suggest that there was no shot fired are truly disturbed individuals, and worse, those who buy the rhetoric are delusional. Here's the problem. that's just, it paints a larger picture. I think they know exactly what happened. It's not that. They try to downplay because they know it hurts their cause to the silent majority when there is a violent left attack. So they always try to downplay it. I mean, they still did. It wasn't it Joy Reid that not that long ago was still downplaying the alleged assassination attempt. They'll say that occasionally because they try to. It's just like Jimmy Kimmel suggesting that the Charlie Kirk assassin was MAGA, and then when he came back after his 3-day hiatus, he said, well, it's not politics at all. So it went from MAGA, where he could score political points in his mind or try to dupe his audience into thinking it was Trump supporters, to, oh, no, we can't talk politics at all. It has nothing to do with politics. This is something else. This guy was something else than politics. To, again, cover for the left. It's frustrating because it's so predictable. It's frustrating because we know it's the direction the mainstream media is always going to go. Overhype something bad against the right and downplay anything bad against the left. In this case, what they're downplaying is things like assassination attempts, assassinations, violence in the street, the threat in public safety. So yeah, I understand why so many people are frustrated. Comment from a different viewer. Mark writes in, just to show the difference, the Republican Party didn't praise the damage done to Governor Shapiro, but the Democrats sure praise anything bad done to the Republican Party. Great point. Thank you very much. Ben Shapiro had his house, an arson attack on his house. And finally, Karen writes in kind of a bonus quote this morning, saying that she'll send the official quote later today. And so I like this. I always like when we get a bonus quote for the week. But all the violence reminded me of the words from the great American president, Ronald Reagan. Quote, if we forget we are one nation under God, let me try that again. Where did I get that accent from all of a sudden? If we forget we are one nation under God, we will be a nation gone under. That's a perfect quote. Thank you, Karen. That is very much the case. If we forget we are one nation under God, we will be a nation gone under. Thank you. Couple quick New York State issues. Hochul, listen to this. Governor Hochul has backed out of an event in the North Country. Why? Because protesters were upset with, going to that viewer's comment, prison policies. They were there waiting to greet her. So the governor made a last-minute change and didn't attend a ribbon-cutting ceremony, touting an old rail line that's been converted to a hiking and biking trail at Tupper Lake in Adirondacks. That had some attendees wondering if it was an intentional dodge, though the governor denied her rescheduled plans had anything to do with the demonstrators. She didn't want a scenario where she was booed or criticized. She wants to live in her bubble. I get it. We are looking forward to celebrating this exciting occasion with you. The invite from Hochul's North Country representative, Allison Webinaro, told local officials. The event was moved from 10 a.m. back to 3 p.m. Saturday when the word came that Hochul would not show up at all, according to sources on the ground. One participant said dozens of people protesting Hochul's event appeared and stood next to a Team Trump MAGA bus, and that there was a big police presence. Then all of a sudden they moved chairs and posters inside, locked every door, and had a guy with an iPad checking names with an invite list at the entrance. So it definitely seemed like she was coming. Then all of a sudden the cops started to leave and people started to shuffle out. Sources also said Hochul was expected to attend another mountain hiking event at nearby Whiteface Mountain. Some of the protesters waiting for Hochul were state correctional officers upset over her prison policies, as officials say the state's facilities remain short-staffed by around 5,000 workers. And we know Hochul fired 2,000 officers, many of whom were part of that strike, leading to the National Guard troops to backfill many of the short-staffed facilities. Remember, there's no criticism of her using the National Guard for things that are outside of what you would think National Guard duties. But Hochul pushed back on any claims she intentionally tried to avoid the protesters, though the Tupper Lake rail event was under consideration by the governor's office. It ultimately conflicted with the logistics of her trip to Canada. Well, what's really important. As noted in the governor's daily public schedule, Governor Hochul spent the weekend meeting with Canadian business leaders and government officials in an effort to repair the damage done to tourism and trade relations by President Trump and congressional Republicans. Boy, if there's someone that you want healing relationships, if there's someone you want to really mend the divide, it is Governor Hochul. Elise Stefanik, who could be eyeing a run for governor, we hope she declares soon, decided to weigh in. It is a truth universally acknowledged that Kathy Hochul is the most unpopular elected official in all of New York State. Whether canceling multiple events today in upstate or getting booed by thousands on Long Island at the Ryder Cup last week, she is hated by Republicans, despised by independents, near universally disliked by Democrats, and manipulated and laughed at by the communists. If she lets a few upstate patriots, particularly the corrections officers, send her running scared, just wait until her real campaign for re-election begins. Ooh, those are some good words from Elise Stefanik. All right, let's take a short break. I know we only got 15 minutes left. A couple last minute quick things on New York, then the shutdown. Though there's not a lot to report on the shutdown, but would love to hear your comments. You've been great all morning long, even if I have been tongue twisted throughout the morning. I do appreciate all the statements. I hope I didn't miss any. But stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
More cars, lower prices. Simmons Rockwell. Make car buying simple when you drive your deal at a Simmons Rockwell location near you, where you'll always find more cars at lower prices.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Small businesses are the heart of America. Like you, these entrepreneurs started out with a dream and the drive to build a better life. If you have a small business idea to grow or challenge to face, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1964, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses. Today, they are the nation's largest nonprofit source of expert mentoring, resources, and education. Whether you're starting out, building back, or have worked at it for years, SCORE will match you with specialized mentors. Our thousands of volunteers provide the guidance and connections you need for free. Your success is waiting. SCORE is ready to help. Find a mentor today at SCORE.org.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. One quick update here from New York State issues, and then we'll move along. Governor Hochul has promised the, quote, right decision, end quote, on medical aid in dying bill, that assisted suicide bill. Now, what does that mean? We talked about this. This was quite the topic not that long ago on this program. We had great comments back and forth. But Hochul told reporters, I hear from a lot of people on that issue. There are strong views on both sides of the spectrum. Intense views on this. And I'm conscious of that, and it's going to be a very weighty decision on me between now and the end of the year, something that I take, as I said, enormously seriously, and will come to the right decision. Okay, so what is that right decision? I would say it is a very dividing question. We've had it on this program where we had very different views of various people. Okay. So yesterday, Senate Democrats rejected the latest effort to end the government shutdown. Trump has signaled he's open to negotiating on health care, but it would be after the government reopens. The deadlocked vote, 52 to 42. Oh, would we lose one Democrat or do we lose a Republican? Because wasn't it up to 53 at one point? The deadlocked Senate voted 52 to 42 to block the Trump-backed continuing resolution from moving forward, ensuring the government will remain unfunded for a seventh straight day come Tuesday. The measure, which will keep the government funded at a pre-shutdown level until November 21st, fell 8 votes short of the 60 needed to clear the legislative filibuster. Now, we know the media, and keep this in mind, if you watch an outlet that says this, it may be time to think of finding a different outlet. But I've seen it in numerous places where they say, well, Republicans have the majority, and they still can't get this done. The Republicans shut down, while we know that they don't have the 60 vote in the Senate. So again, I know we said it yesterday. We got some great comments on it as well. They're either inept on government, or they're lying to you, or as one person wrote, it's both. and I would agree with you. But I do think there's an active push to try to do, just like we talk about downplaying left violence, the media tries to do that. They are trying to, and this is historically the case, they're trying to blame Republicans for the shutdown. Remember, the Republicans just said, this is the exact same levels we're funding the government at right now. This is just to keep it open till November 21st. Then we can have, as we get towards something better, more permanent, then we can have the discussions and have the debates. Democrats said, no, we want $1 trillion just to keep us open for business till the 21st of November. That's a hard sell. That is asking a lot, but the media, again, trying to say they're doing it to fight for you and your health care. Continuing, though, in case you're wondering, Democrat Senator Catherine Cortez Masto of Nevada and John Fetterman of Pennsylvania and Angus King of Maine continue to be the only Democrats blocking the measure. Republican Senator Rand Paul remains the only member of the GOP side opposed to the bill. Okay, so I guess that was the same number, 52, 42. Okay. A handful of senators from both sides of the aisle did not cast votes. Maybe that's where our problem is. Chuck Schumer and other Democrats had objected to the so-called clean continuing resolution because it failed to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies set to expire at the end of the year. Again, remember, this is just to keep the government funded until November 21st. He's talking about something that's going to happen at the end of the year. This is, like whoever said it was Tom Emmer, which was such a good point. This is an aged athlete in Chuck Schumer that still wants to be relevant, still wants to star, still wants to be out there running the ball, and he doesn't have it anymore. So he's trying to stay relevant. And they decided this was going to be the hill, you know, the old saying, well, we'll say the hill they fight on. If we made the deal, I'd make a deal, sure, the president said, talking about his willingness to deal on health care. You have subsidies. That's the problem with Obamacare. The subsidies are so much. Billions and billions of dollars are being wasted. We could have much better health care than we have right now. We are speaking with the Democrats, and some very good people could happen with respect to health care. Schumer denied that, saying this isn't true. For months, Democrats have been demanding Trump and Republicans come to the table and work with us to deliver lower costs and better health care for the American people. If Republicans are finally ready to sit down and get something done on health care for American families, Democrats will be there ready to make it happen. Trump then urged Democrats to reopen the government tonight. This was last night, where he appeared to clarify his Oval Office remarks. I'm happy to work with the Democrats on their failed health care policies or anything else. But first, they must allow our government to reopen. In fact, they should open our government tonight. So, gotta take a break. Reading your last second comments as we wrap up today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I'm Marion Crawford. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
Tired of high-priced delivery? The Liquor Factory is now offering free delivery. You heard right, free delivery to Oreen, Game Mills, Painted Post, and Riverside. Corning, you're in luck too. Free delivery with a $25 minimum order. Call store for details. Also, don't forget their 15% case wine discount. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram for weekly specials and tastings. The Liquor Factory, 285 South Hamilton Street, Game Mills. Or call 607-937-WINE. That's 607-937-9463. The Liquor Factory, raising spirits, delivering fun in a bottle.
The Fox Sports app isn't just any sports app. It's your sports app.
For the touchdown!
Yeah, yours. Your teams. Your highlights. Your scores. Your stories. Just choose your favorites to get more of what you want.
To the end zone!
And of course, stream your teams live. The best part is free with your pay TV subscription. Grab your
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go through all these comments, probably wrap up the show with comments. Oh, we got our tip of the week. This viewer writes in their tip of the week. Here we go. To clean your blender, add a little dish soap to your machine. Pour in 2 cups of warm water and blend until the grime is a thing of the past. This method of cleaning your blender is better and safer than messing around with those sharp blades. Well, thank you. There's our tip of the week. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. It's really quite simple. Democrats can't keep playing Santa Claus without another $1 trillion of taxpayer money. Exactly. And we've talked about they're beholden to pharmaceutical companies, et cetera, et cetera. People have made that connection as well. Comment from a different viewer. Dying is, of course, very personal. And if a person has decided to die for their own reasons, then it is not up to a third party, the government in this case, to argue differently. Thank you very much. Ken writes in, wouldn't you love to know the main person the Hochul takes her orders from? It's blatantly obvious that she doesn't think for herself. That is very clear. The talking points sometimes are so old or always so... It's something we heard so long ago. It's like she waits until it's already trite. I don't know. Ken continues, on the lighter side, my wife surprisingly felt sorry for Hochul. When I said she was heckled by Republicans, she thought I said she was hit by a pumpkin. So when I said heckled by Republicans, she heard me saying hit by a pumpkin. Well, that's nice that you have that kind spot. I would not want to see Governor Hochul hit by a pumpkin either. I don't know. I think it must be because I'm a little stuffed up or something, tongue-tied. That's what I'm going to blame it on, hit by a pumpkin, when I actually said heckled by Republicans. So I blame myself. Thank you. That is funny. And this viewer writes in, we actually kicked off the beginning of the program with this, but I think it's still worth mentioning as we wrap up today. 2 years ago, with the October 7th terrorist attack against Israel, President Trump today will host Eden Alexander at the White House exactly 2 years after he was among the more than 250 people taken hostage by Hamas in its terrorist attack on Israel. Alexander was held hostage by Hamas for 584 days. Nearly 1,200 people were killed in that attack, and up to 48 hostages remain in captivity as Trump pushes towards a peace deal between Israel and Hamas that would see all remaining hostages released. Thank you very much for that, kicking off the program with that as well. So Aaron Blake from CNN says there's 4 ways the government shutdown could end. The Democrats fold. Okay, yeah, that does seem like 1. A deal for future Obamacare debates. 2. A different GOP concession. Or 4 Republicans cave. Great. Glad you spent some time on that. But see, Democrats are starting to send the threats out that you better not deviate from what they tell you to vote. This coming from CNN as well. The lone U.S. House Democrat to vote with Republicans on the funding bill draws a primary challenge. This is just a send out a message to other Democrats. Stay in line. Well, thank you for all the comments this morning. My goodness, one of the busiest mornings we probably ever had here on Frankly Speaking. I really do appreciate it. I don't know. That pumpkin thing's making me laugh. Have a great day. Join us tomorrow morning starting at 6 a.m. for Frankly Speaking. Only on WYDC TV. Big Fox will see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Look forward to it already.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is the start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.